It's a long final minute. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the regular council meeting of Osoyoos Town Council on Monday, February the 16th at 2015, 2 p.m. in council chambers. And we'll call the meeting to order. And first is the adoption of minutes. We have the Committee of the Whole meeting minutes of February the 2nd, 2015, the regular open minutes of February the 2nd, 2015, and the special open budget minutes of February the 10th and 11th, 2015. And those will be adopted by consensus. Okay. Business arising from the minutes. I don't believe we have anything there. Introduction of late items. One thing we're going to do is remove the, under correspondence number 2, first things first, the request to appear as a delegation. That group has decided not to do that, and they have another plan in place. So we'll delete that. And now, do I have to? We have to have a motion to approve the minutes as amended. Rhodes King, all in favor? Thank you. Next, no delegations, and we're on to water matters.
I move.
What do you move? It says none here. Oh, it's none in
Approval
here.
number 1 or 2?
And some in here. Okay.
4,000.
In this page, it says none. All right, we'll look. So the water matters in the amount of
$4,177.64.
And you're approving that?
Yes.
Oh, good. That would be Councillor Mara, Councillor Ray. All in favor? Thank you. And next is bylaws, none. And so business, we have a council meeting.
Well, the correspondence under G1.
That, oh, I'm sorry. See, I'm all mixed up now because I've got water matters and water board. Okay, so we have Okanagan Basin Water Board. This is a newsletter that comes out, I believe it comes out once a month. Am I correct? I'm not sure. I have become a member of this. My name is down the side. The one item that I want to point out on here is partway down the page that we have plans underway for the 3rd Osoyoos Lake Water Science Forum. OBWB will again be joining with the International Joint Commission to present a forum on shared water issues, a follow-up on the successful forum held in Osoyoos in 2011, and it was also held in 2007. So this year's event is tentatively booked. I think it's pretty sure for now, and it will be October the 7th to the 9th in Osoyoos, and there will be more details to follow. You can go on the OBWB website in order to find information. Is there anyone else? Councillor Rhodes, would you like to speak?
Thank you, Mayor Kordoff. Whenever we get these newsletters from the Okanagan Basin Water Board, I always like to draw attention to their due diligence with regard to the zebra and quagga mussel threat in our community. And some of the information that's coming out about it is a lot of the financial attachments to, both preventing and controlling this thing in our lake, or at least the potential for them to be in our lake. And there are some numbers in there, and there's a more detailed report on the OBWB website, so that's obwb.ca. And it's incredible the funding that's being allocated towards this right now. They're suggesting in there that in Alberta it's around $530,000 a year now, and they're asking us to step up to the plate for a similar amount. So not only is there a threat for from the zebra and quagga mussels into our water, into our lake water, there's also an imminent threat of it cleaning out our bank accounts as well. So, it's always good to be knowledgeable about it, and I like to draw attention to that. There's a brief note in here on that newsletter, but much more detail about how proactive they're being on their website. So.
Good, thank you. Anyone else? Okay, so could we have a motion, please, to receive this for information? Thank you. Campbell King. Do we need to take a vote on that? Okay, all in favor? Thank you. Okay, next is, there are 2 meeting reports. One, expenses for me for 2 days at the LGLA, and another one for Councillor Campbell. So could we have somebody move the Councillor Rhodes, Councillor King, that those amounts be approved? Thank you. Oh, all in favor? Okay, next is the SILGA Convention, Internet Voting. Mr. Romanko.
Thank you, Mayor McCordoff. At the February 2nd Committee of the Whole meeting, there was an administrative resolution by Councillor Rhodes and seconded by Councillor Campo, and resolved that staff be requested to bring forward a report to the February 16th meeting with a draft resolution for Council's consideration on Internet voting. The attachments illustrate that this issue was addressed at the 2011 UBCM convention and responded to by the province of BC. The issue came in 3 separate resolutions, and the Fort St. John resolution was debated by the UBCM. That resolution stated, whereas Local Government Act Division 9 voting opportunity does not allow the ability to offer online voting to electors in local government elections, and whereas this additional service would provide and assist the general population, especially the elderly, disabled, snowbirds, and those working in camp, to participate in the democratic process, there it be resolved that UBCM request the province of BC to initiate policy analysis and legislative changes required to implement online voting for the 2014 local government election. The province responded. The province response was the Ministry of Community Sport and Cultural Development. The province is supportive of the concept of online voting and finding ways to make it work in local government election system. That means ensuring that it will work in a way that enables all involved in local elections processes to feel comfortable in the security, transparency, and integrity of the voting process and the validity of the election outcome. Current legislation does not provide authority to local governments to provide online voting opportunities. The province wants to work with UBCM and specific local governments that are interested in implementing online voting to see if online voting can be developed in a way that addresses concerns with this process and provides appropriate safeguards to allow for voter confidence. Elections BC reviewed the opportunities and risks of online voting and published a discussion paper on this topic. That work will be helpful in guiding decisions about the potential developments of online voting for local elections. In terms of implications, the community internet voting would provide additional convenience and opportunities for local residents to vote in local elections. Some residents will not be supportive of internet voting due to a mistrust of technology and the perception of lack of transparency. Organizationally, resolution will have to be presented by a member of council at the SILGA convention and UBCM if resolution receives SILGA approval. Budget, none other than convention expenses. Significant dates, the resolution must be into SILGA prior to February 27th. The SILGA convention is April 28th to May 1st, and UBCM is September 21st to 25th. 3 options are presented to Council. The first one, Council approves providing a resolution relating to the need to implement internet voting at the SILGA Convention. Council rejects proceeding with a resolution relating to the need to implement internet voting at the SILGA Convention. And third, Council provides additional direction. In terms of recommendation, in the event that Council considers sending a resolution, the administration recommends building on the resolution by Fort St. John and build in additional current events as provided below. Whereas Local Government Act Division 9 voting opportunities does not allow the ability to offer online voting to electors in local government elections, and whereas this additional service would provide service provision would assist the general population, especially elderly, disabled, snowbirds, and those working in camp to participate in the democratic process. And whereas the province of BC has the recommendations from the independent panel on internet voting from the report produced in February 2014, there be resolved that the UBCM requests the province to initiate policy analysis and legislative requirements to implement online voting for the 2018 local government elections.
Thank you. Is there anyone who would like to make a motion about this or speak to it? Councillor Rhodes.
Thank you, Mayor McCordoff. Just for clarity, Mr. Romanko, this resolution from Fort St. John, is that for this calendar year? I'm not really that
No,
clear.
the resolution from Fort St. John was in 2011.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there were 3 separate resolutions presented in 2011 related to internet voting, and the Fort St. John one was identified as an item, so it was debated. All I did is took it and expanded with additional information. Given that the format's there, and basically my sense is we're looking for the same thing.
I guess where I'm a little confused about this, I'm wondering what the result would be of us, in essence, duplicating something that was already done already. I know that I had an opportunity to rant about this quite a bit. That was prior to having knowledge about this, of course, and the media definitely covered it very accurately in the last paper, and I don't want to put us through a process if we're just going to duplicate and have the same results back again.
Well, I think this is building on the 2011, because what the motion is saying is, you said you were going to do a study, now you've got a study and recommendations, and so, you know, will you do something for the 2018 elections? The other one was relating to 2014. So it's basically keeping the pressure on, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So are you, I think one of the benefits of having Councillor Ryan here on the last council was that he was extremely good at coming up with wording resolutions. And I'm just wondering whether it might be worth asking him to take this information. I totally agree with what you've added there, and looking at the other resolution and coming up with a good wording to say, yes, we know it's been done, we know you said you weren't going to do it at this time, but we think it's important and we would like to see it brought on the table again. Does that make sense, Councillor Rhodes?
Well, one of the difficulties that we're going to have is the time restraint and that deadline of the 27th, and I'm happy to build on this resolution. I think, you know, I'd like to offer a resolution based on that resolution. Boy, that's hard, and you've got to use the same word over and over again. But basically, I think the essence of what I would try to portray in a resolution for this is kind of that wording that's there already. Can we just update it and change the name in it and move forward with that, or?
Are you offering to take the wording and kind of put it together and update it for our benefit? Or
I would see the wording as updated already.
Yeah.
That's what my recommendation is take these 3 whereases, and therefore that's the resolution that captures the new information and the action for 2018, and that's what would be taken to SILGA, because obviously the part of the whole problem is the formatting of resolutions. Mm-hmm. This format has been approved at the UBC convention already, mm-hmm. So it should have no problem in terms of formatting. It's just a matter of whether it gets through SILGA.
Right. So can I just go back then? The Fort St. John resolution is listed below. You would see as taking the first whereas there, plus adding the other 3 whereases. Am I correct? Because we need to have something before the new ones that you've got in there. No, or you're just suggesting that you've got recommendations built on the resolution provided by Fort St. John, and I was wondering if you wanted to take the first part about Fort St. John but not put the name in and add those 3.
No, there's nothing to do with Fort St. John. All I was saying is I was building on that resolution.
Okay, so just a minute, Councillor Rhodes, can we ask other people?
Sure.
Councillor Campbell, did you have something you wanted to say?
No, I was just going to agree with Councillor Rhodes, and I think when we're looking at something that was initiated in 2011, looking into 2015 and then toward 2018, and we're dealing with technology, I think there's even more of a need and more of an argument in favor of now, and will be by the time we hit 2018.
So in other words, you'd like to add something a little bit more in here about something to do with technology?
I think so.
Yeah. Okay, noted. Councillor Youngberg.
Yes, thanks, Mayor McCordoff. I really agree with Councillor Campo. Technology is speeding ahead much faster than we are technically, and I think it's absolutely mandatory that this goes to SILGA and then to UBCM. And in the form of the Fort St. John resolution, it's been there once and it was looked at, and from my information from reading it, appears that provincial government are looking at it seriously and making some recommendations.
Councillor King?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor McCurkoff. I also support this resolution going forward from Osoyoos specifically. We have a great template in front of us, and I do agree the technology has changed so much in 4 years, and security behind technology now. So I would support a resolution going forward.
So I'm a little bit confused about this. In other words, what we're going to do is take this resolution and add a little bit more to it in order to have something to do with technology involved because of the updates in that. Councillor Rhodes.
Well, I'd just like to mention that one of the criteria for putting resolutions is it has to be very clear, concise, and very brief, and to the point. Once you start adding a few paragraphs on, and I say this out only out of due respect, that information should go in there. If we're going to wordsmith this at all, I think we should include that in there. Although we just want to try to avoid, much longer paragraphs and that kind of thing, because lots of times, even at the SILGA level, they'll just get passed over if they're too complicated. The real pitch and all of the wording comes when you go to UBCM and SILGA. That's when you can embellish it as much as you want at that point.
So we still need to take this, what Mr. Romanko has done, and it fits that it's short and sweet and to the point. Is there anything more that we want to add to it? Or are we agreeable that it says what we want it to say in this format?
I think I'd like to make the resolution the way that it's worded there. If we have an opportunity to pitch this at SILGA and UBCM, we certainly can, make that a big priority, that technology portion of it.
So are you making that a motion that we accept this, Councillor Campbell, that this is the, okay, and Mr. Romanko, would that then just, how would this be dealt with now? Would you send this forward? Does it have to come from us? How does it work?
I would send it forward.
You would?
Yeah, I will send it forward to SILGA in whatever format they want it.
Now, am I correct that if it goes to SILGA, which is our local organization, at that point, if it's agreed on by SILGA, it then goes to UBCM? Is that it?
That's
needs
right.
to go through SILGA first?
That's right.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, so I'm going to ask the question. All in favor of sending this forward to SILGA the way it is? Okay, that's carried. Thank you very much for doing that. Next is Victim Services. Mr. Romanko.
Okay, thank you. The town of Osoyoos has administered the Victim Services Program for Osoyoos since 2005. The contract runs for 1 year from April 1st to March 31st. The total funding for the program for the 2014-15 fiscal year is $35,560, which is made in 4 payments to the town of Osoyoos of $8,890 as shown in Schedule B. Schedule F is not included with the attached contract as it contains specific personnel information regarding the program coordinator and other contact information, as well as detailed funding and other FOIP issues. Funding for the Victim Services Program will not be sent to the town until the contract has been executed by both the town and the contractor and the province. Insurance is not an issue, as we cover the program manager under the town's liability policy. The town covers the workman's compensation and reimbursed for vehicle insurance through the funding program. With respect to the supervision and determination of what services are provided to victims, this has been put in the hands of the RCMP OIC to decide along with the program manager. Implications, the community is provided the Victim Services Program through the RCMP. Organizationally, we just administer the funding. No budget implications. Significant dates. Any delay in approval will delay the payment from the province. And sustainability, continuation of the victim services to the community. Options. Two options have been provided: that the mayor and corporate officer be authorized to sign the 2015-16 Victim Services Program Fund Agreement for SUYAS for a one-year term. The second is that council not enter into an agreement for the Victim Services Program. The recommendation is option 1. To not approve this agreement would leave SUYAS without a victim assistance program.
Thank you. Councillor Campbell.
I would like to make a motion that we go to option number 1, that the mayor and CAO be authorized to sign the 2015-16 Victim Services Program funding agreement for SOUs for a one-year term.
And Councillor Youngberg. Anybody like to speak to this? This is an excellent program. It's been in effect for a long time. It's handled very well, and I think it's well used, so I think it's a good thing to have. Okay, all in favor of that? Thank you, that carried. And now we have the Osoyoos Traditional Archery School, license to use, 11600. I don't think that we have you scheduled to speak, but you know what? Let's wait and see how we deal with this, Mr. Payton, and then we'll, at this particular meeting, we don't normally have people speaking, but absolutely, if we have any concerns, we'll ask you, okay? Mr. Romanko, are you going to deal with this? Yes.
In 2013 and 14, Council granted a license to use agreement between the Osoyoos Traditional Archery School for the use of the lands located at 11600 Strawberry Creek Road. Each of these agreements were for a one-year term. In 2013, the term was for 1 year. For 1 year, with possible one-year renewal. In 2014, the term was for 1 year with no renewals, as land designations would have to be changed. The Osoyoos Traditional Archery School is requesting use of the land at 11600 Strawberry Creek Road for a period over 2 to 3 years. If this were to be granted, a subdivision of the property and a change in land use designation would be required. In speaking with Alan Cunningham, Director of Planning Development Services, allowing the archery school to use this property for a further one-year term would not have any long-term effect on the use of the land overall. However, Council should make a decision as to whether or not to proceed with changing the designation of this property, which is currently zoned industrial, or whether it wishes to keep the land as industrial and advise the archery school to start looking for alternative locations in 2016. If Council agrees to grant the use of the lands for additional year, an agreement for a term from May 15th, 2015 to May 14th, 2016 must be approved. All aspects of the 2014 agreement will remain the same, including the requirement for the archery school to provide $5 million liability insurance, naming the town as an additional named insured. The archery school has paid $250 for use of this land in previous 2 terms, and there's no recommendation to change that amount. There was a clause under the term portion of 2013 agreement that stated a possible extension for an additional 1-year term may be considered by the grantor. However, it is clear to the grantee that there will be no further renewals without subdivision and land use zoning changes that can only take place with the permission and approval of the grantor and at the expense of the grantee. This clause was amended in the 2014 agreement to remove the reference to the 1-year renewal. This clause will remain the same in 2014 as 2014. In terms of implications, community recreation is available to all family members. Organizationally, the only input is the monitoring of the agreement. There's no budget really implications, no significant dates other than the starting of the school dates and sustainability continuation of established activity. 4 options have been provided to Council. The first being that the license, that the 2015 license to use the agreement with the Osoyoos Traditional Archery School for the use of the lands at 11600 Strawberry Creek Road be approved for a 1-year term only, and that the signatories be authorized to sign, and further that the archery school will be advised they will need to seek alternative location for 2016. Option 2, that the 2015 license to use agreement with the Osoyoos Traditional Archery School for use of lands at 11600 Strawberry Creek Road be approved, and that the signatories be authorized to sign, and further that staff provide a report on possible future use or zoning change to the property. 3, that the 2015 license to use agreement be returned to staff for modification, and 4, that the Osoyoos Traditional Archery School request for use of lands at 11600 Strawberry Creek Road be denied. And staff is recommending option 2, which is to have the agreement signed, and then also developing a further report on future use and zoning changes to the property.
Thank you very much. We are certainly extremely proud of the archery school for all of the events that have taken place over the past several years. I'm not sure how many years it's been, 3. And there are several people that have, including Brock, who is here today, Brock Payton, who have won numerous awards. So we absolutely want to continue with allowing the archery school to have this piece of property, is the way I would think about it. We're not sure what's going to happen to that property up there, so I'm certainly thinking that the recommendation makes sense. But Councillor Campbell, would you like to?
Sure. Motion forward for option number 2 as it's worded.
And a seconder? Thank you. Councillor King. Would anybody like to speak to that? Yes, Councillor Rhodes.
Thank you, Mayor McCordoff. I always feel awkward when you're, approving something that's beneficial to the community, but I think I need a little bit more information on why it's different than the request that was made the 2 to 3 years. I see so much benefit up there of that club using it, not only for the purposes of archery and that, they also kind of take care of the area up there, and I know there was some cleanup that was done a couple of years ago and all that kind of thing. So I see a lot of benefit not only from the school but for that area up there. And I'm not going to get into some of the things that did happen up there that are no longer happening, but certainly it's all changed and it's for the better. Why would and I know I have to address it to you because the Director of Planning is not here. Mm-hmm. Why would we not give them their request based on a subdivision plan and all that kind of stuff?
Well, it goes back to
it sure seems
how you want to do things. If you want to do them right, and I think that's what the Director of Planning is saying. Mm-hmm. If you want to do it right, if you want to provide for a longer-term agreement instead of a year-to-year agreement, you should provide stability through having appropriate zoning, and also clearly identifying what the land base is and subdivide that land off, and so that there is that long-term agreement. When you're going year to year, you can I guess skirt those issues, but if you're into a longer-term agreement, you should have the appropriate zoning for an activity.
I guess my sorry.
No, you go right ahead. Continue. Mm-hmm.
I guess my argument would be that as we sit here today, we do not have anything planned for that area. I understand how opportunities come and go and that kind of thing, but 2 to 3 years does not seem like a long time to me. And these folks that are running the school and using that facility all up there are very fair and reasonable people. If we had some opportunity that came our way that would cause us to subdivide that property up there and and do whatever that's being suggested in here. And believe me, I get right and wrong and doing things the right way. I mean, I understand that. But in this particular case, that property has been improved by this group. It's well used, they're fair and reasonable people. They have good value in our community, and I don't see any problem with extending this for 2 to 3 years. If something did come along, just to finish off that part of my conversation, I'm sure they would be reasonable and sit down with this and kind of look at the options and that kind of thing. Yeah.
Well, certainly that is an option if council wishes to proceed with a longer-term agreement with a direction to build into the agreement an understanding of, if again, without wording, agreement wording, basically if the opportunity comes up that there is another land use identified that, the use agreement would be null and void, I would take that back, and if the director of planning has some issue with that, then he can come back and explain it himself.
So option number 2 gives the use for 1 year with a further staff report. Would that answer some of those questions? Could we say to them, yes, you can have it for sure this year, and we will look into that? If that's one option, I'm certainly in agreement with Councillor Rhodes that 3 years seems reasonable. Councillor King.
Thank you, Mayor McCurkoff. I could support 2 years on this resolution, and staff is going to come back with a possible future use for the property, and that might identify, and it usually takes time to do those things. So I could support a 2 year with the wording changed.
So what they were asking for was a 3 year, and would that be a reasonable compromise to say that that we do a 2? I don't know. Is there anyone else who would like to speak? Councillor Rhodes.
I like the suggestion of Mr. Romanko to put that wording on there that if a development opportunity comes along throughout the term of it, I might ask the mover for a friendly amendment to 3 years on that. I think that gives us the opportunity to change this if something does come along, and also gives them comfort and a little stability for 3 years.
Was that you, Councillor Campbell? Are you in agreement with that?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so, Ms. Scott, when you're when you're ready, could you read that back to us?
Okay, so the term would be 2015 through 2017, is that?
Yes,
Okay.
2015, 16, and 17.
Okay, I moved Councillor Campbell, seconded Councillor King, and resolved that a 2015 to 2017 license to use agreement with the Soyuz Traditional Archery School for use of lands at 11600 Strawberry Creek Road be approved, and to include a clause that should future use for the land come forward, that the archery school would be notified?
That there would be a discussion with the archery school within the, is that correct?
You could terminate the lease within a given time.
Has to be some notification.
Yeah.
Result as a.
I think we should speak specific to the zoning now, that if an industrial use became apparent, that the license to use may be terminated prior to the identified
3 years.
3 years.
With reasonable notice.
With
Yes,
3 month notice or
absolutely.
something? 90-day notice?
Yeah.
That sounds reasonable to me. Does that sound reasonable to you, Mr. Payton?
Actually, that's what I was going to suggest, was that if we can come up with a 2 to 3 year contract, or on behalf of the city, there has to be a clause that if something changes, we get 3 months notice, of course.
Yes.
It's city land, it's not just one little group's land.
Right. So
And
that,
then, and then if I could just add, for the benefit of the councillor, the rules have changed a little bit in archery. Now anyone, because we are open 24/7, although we are open Tuesday, Thursdays, if students phone up and want to go up on Saturday or something, we go up. Everyone must belong, now to protect the city, must belong to the BCAA. So the city and the club are members, that's $5 million, first payout. And every single member has a $5 million insurance policy. That's mandatory. You can only come up 5 times. You're still covered for 5 times a year. Then you must join, because otherwise the city becomes unprotected.
Okay, so that is in your bylaws, yes,
And we are a nonprofit organization.
right. Good, well, does that make sense then, Mr. Romanko? Okay,
Yes.
so, anybody else want to speak to that, or are we ready for the vote? Okay, all in favor? That is passed unanimously. Thank you very much. Yes, Councillor Rhodes.
I know we all hate butting in the middle of agenda, but I know Mr. Brock is going to grab his stuff and leave right away now. Just wanted to interject here and congratulate him on his recent achievement in, of all places, Dubai. I think we've all heard about it. Most of us, like myself, don't have any idea where it is. I think they have lots of sand and lots of wealth and lots of money there, of course. And Brock was able to win a championship there in a field of archery that's not his normal endeavors, I guess is the best way to put it, with a bow that was lost, and I'm not even sure how that played out. Sounds like he found a bow in a closet somewhere and pulled it out and went and won a very, very significant archery championship in, of all places, Dubai. I know while he was there, he mentioned the name of Suyas on hundreds of occasions, and let everybody know that that's where he was from. So congratulations and thanks a lot, Brock.
Yes.
You know,
I have to add one comment. I know I'm out of order, but please,
I was the one out of order.
the first woman longbow shooter in the history of Canada is leaving on August the 23rd from Suyas to compete in the Worlds.
Who is that?
This is Sarah Martin, is
She's
it?
been shooting for 14 months,
Wow,
just blowing everybody out of the water.
she must have a good instructor.
Well, I don't know. You get a lot of determination.
Well, that's terrific,
Yes,
and we
Sarah.
want to absolutely congratulate all of you that work up there, and I know lots of people that I've talked to have had a really good time and they enjoy it, so carry on with the good work. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, the Suyas, no, Wine Country, well, Suyas Wine Country, Wine Country Racing Association Airport Use Agreement. Mr. Romanko.
Thank you. The town has provided a license to use the airport to Wine Country Racing Association for the past several years for the purposes of using the runway for drag racing events. The WCRA has requested use of the airport again in 2015 for the following dates: May 23rd and 24th, June 6th and 7th, June 20th and 21st, September 26th and 27th, October 10th and 11th. A copy of the license to use for 2015 is attached for council approval. It is the same terms and conditions are provided for this previous as for in the previous agreements, with the exception of the date changes. The community implications: increase to tourism visitors to the community during race day events, possible noise to the surrounding area. Organizationally, just monitoring the agreement and airport conditions. Budget revenue based on a 33% share of net ticket sales and participant fees. No sustainability issues other than the great work that that group has done in working in agreement with us to clean up the puncture vine in that particular area. Options presented, 3 options are presented that council approved the license to use to Wine Country Racing Association for 2015 as attached, that the attached agreement be amended by staff, and 3, that the request to use the airport be denied. And staff is making the recommendation to approve the license to use for the Wine Country Racing Association.
Thank you. Would anybody like to make that motion?
I'll make that
Councillor
motion.
King?
I'll second.
Based on option number 1?
Yeah.
Yes.
And I have a comment.
And would you like to speak to it?
Yeah, I was,
Yes.
thank you, Mayor. Barry, through the insurance, I only see they have $2 million, and I don't really see that we're a third party on their insurance.
Well, it would be in the policy as opposed to.
Just on this agreement I'm looking at. So.
we always ask that all our identified agreements have us as a named
Well, I
third
kind of thought
party.
it was, but I'm just,
Yeah.
in the agreement, it doesn't say it's on there.
Okay, we can address that.
And do we feel 2 million is appropriate?
It's a number that the organization has, so, you know, in some we've gone to 5. We can ask the organization if they can go to 5, if that's the direction of council.
Councillor Campbell?
Yeah, I've been a part of writing a lot of leases for subtenants and things, and usually anything recreation related with risk. The general ask, I know minimum requirements are usually 2 million, but the general ask these days is usually 5 million. And I would think with automobile racing, that wouldn't be unreasonable to ask for 5 million.
Okay. Is that recommended by who was it that,
I made the motion.
and did you second it? Okay.
Yep.
Would you like to include that in there? Or can we add that as a?
Yes, yeah, you can add that as a condition of the approval, that the agreement clearly identify the town as a named third party, and that the association carry a $5 million liability.
Thank you. Can I ask, under budget, it says revenue based on 33% share of the net ticket sales and participant fees. Can you explain that?
How much did we-
They give us 1/3 of their profits.
Oh, I didn't know that.
No.
That's good.
Okay. That's good.
Yes, Councillor Rhodes.
Well, it sounds like I'm opposed to everything today. Before moving together or forward with that, could we maybe see what the financial implications of that is or are?
I don't think they'll be that great.
To go from 2 to, doesn't go up exponentially?
Yeah, it'd
or-
probably be about $100, I would think. It's not, I don't think it'd be that large a number. And if it is, then we can bring it back to council again, and council can readdress that. But given that they have a fair amount of time.
Okay, yes.
Just to put Councillor Rose at ease a little bit, I did a study last year based on boat recreation as we were building a lease that we were building for the first time. So I had looked in other communities and looked with other boat rental companies, and literally everyone I came across was sitting at $5 million. And I would think the risk in that type of activity compared to the risk in this type of activity would be similar at best.
Okay, so that has been added into the resolution, or is that that separate?
I think it'd be added into the...
Could you read that back to us, please, Ms. Scott?
Resolve that council approves a license to use for Wine Country Racing Association for 2015 is attached, and that as a condition of the approval, the town be named as insured third party, and that the grantee obtain liability insurance to be increased to $5 million.
Okay. And we have a mover and seconder. All in favor? Thank you. That's carried. Notice of motion. Any notice of motion? No? Okay, next is general accounts. And we have cash accounts, general cash accounts for $161,199.18, and Sun Bowl cash requirements of $7,579.18. And both of those will be accepted by consensus. And net payroll accounts of $71,988.68, and that is received for information. Okay. We're on to building permits. And the building permit report is quite interesting because we're a little bit further ahead on this than we were last year at the same time, so that's a good thing. So we have a half duplex damaged by fire in the amount of $130,000, and a interior alteration to load-bearing walls for $1,600. So as of the end of total to date is 131,600, and total to date in 2014 was 10,500. So we're a fair amount ahead on that one. Do we need to accept that? No? Are we okay with
Yeah,
that?
we're okay.
Okay. So we need to have it resolved that the building permit report for the month of January be received as information, correct? Okay, thank you. And we are on to the CAO report. Mr. Romanko.
Thank you, Mayor McCordoff. A few of the things that the administration has been involved in over the last couple of weeks, starting in community services. There's a hiring of Justin Price as a part-time community service assistant. The women's showers over at the Sonora Center are now completed and open for use. Also, the pickleball program is going very strong, and then the Nash basketball program has had a great turnout. And just a reminder that the grant and aid program deadline is February 27th. In terms of corporate services, they've been dealing with some freedom of information requests. Also, this seems to be survey time of the year. Everybody is surveying us about everything. So the latest one here is UBCM looking for senior staff wages and benefits, and also council remuneration to build into their data banks. The attended budget meetings, also dealing with some employee family assistance program benefits, and unsightly properties and animal control continues to be dealt with by bylaw. In terms of finance, we had the budget meeting, so the Director of Finance is doing all the paperwork that to bring to Council with a target that for the next Council meeting of the first readings of the budget bylaws and towards the approval of the 5-year capital plan. Myself, I've been completing some research relating to collective bargaining, and also attended a fire hall planning meeting, completed the grant for the water meter strategy to the Okanagan Basin Water Board, started reviewing the 3 proposals that we received for the water meter strategy, and also sent out letters requesting to our sewer users, requesting a letter of support for the grant application for the sewer lift station. And along that lines, we've just reviewed the draft of the small communities grant for the sewer lift station, so that'll be put into the system either today or tomorrow. And that's my report for today.
Thank you very much. And now on to Councillors' reports, and Councillor Rhodes, you're first.
Thank you, Mayor McCordoff. Just a couple of things. We did, as mentioned by Mr. Romanko, we did have a meeting last Friday, quite a lengthy meeting, took up a good part of the day. And it was just, once again, fine-tuning the planning to allow us to move forward into the next phase. I got to say that I'm feeling really, really good, very positive about everything that happened. No apparent obstacles have been thrown up in front of us that are going to cause any kind of delay. And one of the significant things that we got out of it was the timeline, I guess is what you can call it, that is going to take us from that particular day up to actually the final completion of the whole project. If we stay on track, and there's no reason to believe that we won't, we could see construction of that starting sometime probably in the late summer, and possibly about a 1-year build-out period, with the occupancy in the late part of August of next year. So pretty exciting stuff, such a neat building. Some of the things that we talked about were regarding how the fire hall is going to interact with future neighbors and other things going on in that community. And so everything is being looked at and everything is moving forward really well. The other thing I wanted to mention was our last budget session. I'm not going to talk about the budget because we're still fine-tuning it and everything right now. But, you know, this is my 7th budget since I was first elected, and, you know, you get a feel and a sense of how things are going to go for that particular year. And budgets are so important because that's how we spend our money throughout the next calendar year and do our planning for future spending and that kind of thing. I wanted to offer a couple of compliments, first off to the staff that participated in it. I know this meeting, it may not seem that way, but all of them are full of angst when they come to council and pitch everybody for their needs in their departments. So pretty proud of the way that they did it. It was all done very professional, and some of them got everything they wanted, some didn't, and that's the process that we go through. In addition to that, there was 3 new councils that sat through this process with us. And I got to say, I can't say enough positive things about how it went. Some of the past experiences, and I know this sounds like I'm being critical, but I'm not really. You know, there are lots of peaks and valleys and lots of debate and argument and feelings and emotions that go into these. This year it felt a little bit different. It was actually a really, really good experience. I think we sifted through all of the budget items, and when I say all of them, that includes where we buy, you know, pencils and erasers and everything up to, you know, major infrastructure changes. So good job, you 3. I think it was, you know, one of the best budgets that I've ever participated in. I think the community is going to see the results in a very positive way, and so I wanted to pass that all on to you. Good job, great job.
Thank you very much, and I'm going to say ditto. Am I allowed to say that? I thought it was really an interesting experience. Lots of debate about things, and lots of resolve that we came up with. Okay, Councillor Youngberg.
Thank you, Mayor McCordoff, and I'll certainly thank Councillor Rhodes for the compliment, because it was a 2-day learning experience that went by very smoothly and very, very professionally conducted. So we're happy with the results. Just a little bit of an update on the tower. That seems to be huge controversy in the community. For those who may not know, Rogers is planning to construct a tower on the 100th Avenue in that vicinity, and many of the residents are really concerned about it. So research was made with Rogers, and they are fully aware of all of your concerns, and that was a discussion we had today at 12:30. And they are very proactive in suggesting that everybody and anybody contact the regional district with their input and ensure that their feelings are all made very clear. And at that point in time, they will then suggest that a public consultation will be conducted. And that remains to be discussed with our regional district director and all the members of regional district. So that was a phone call that was made to me at the recommendation of the resident of the community. So it came as a bit of a surprise, but nevertheless it was very, very constructive and proactive, I thought. The Osoyoos Child Care Center, which is part of my committee as well, we're still looking for volunteers for their directorship, and anyone that would like to discuss this further can certainly get a hold of me at any time. And my email address is on the Osoyoos, Town of Osoyoos website. Also, I just wanted to express a lot of appreciation for our Valentine's weekend, which was a huge weekend in Osoyoos. There were dances at the Legion and a fundraiser for our fireworks at the Elks Hall, as well as Mardi Gras at Spirit Ridge, and several restaurants had great value to eating menus that they offered. And it was just hugely supported by our residents and our visitors in this town. Everybody had words of success, appreciation, so I just wanted to pass that on to everyone, because all your spending in the community is so appreciated. The businesses were overwhelmed. And also, from the curling club, we won the A event, and so we're all very happy. We just worked hard for 3 days. So I just thought I'd send my congratulations out to my team members, and We all had a great time, and we had 16 teams participate, and 3 out-of-town teams. I think we had, Kelowna. We had Kelowna, Penticton, and Princeton, and ourselves. So we had a great weekend. It was attended very well by everybody. I had a great time.
Well, and congratulations. That's wonderful. I didn't know that. And I will certainly agree that all of the restaurants on Saturday night were full, because I went out for dinner with a friend of mine who is also single, and we had difficult time finding, locating something because they were all full. But we did go to Dolce's, which is just open, and we had a wonderful meal there, and we were able to get in at the time that we wanted. So we appreciate that. Okay, Councillor Campbell.
Thank you, Mayor McCordoff. I just have a lot of positive observations and congratulations, as have most of us. I attended the Dolce re-grand opening this past week, which was well received, well attended. And to Councillor Youngberg and Mayor McCordoff's point, I think we're hitting a whole new level of culinary and creativity in this community, which should fare very well with us being known for wine. So lots of exciting things happening there. I also attended the Family Day skate at the Sun Bowl Arena, which was unbelievably well attended, well run. So congratulations to the staff and volunteers that helped put that together. I thought it was an amazing day. And one more congratulations out to our Soyuz Coyotes, who just finished first place overall in their league. So they've done us Soyuz proud, and we should be proud of them. That's
Great. Thank you. And Councillor King.
Thank you, Mayor McCurkoff. I guess I got to concur with all the other councillors and Mayor. I think the budget was a great experience to go through. I believe there's over 300 pages and quite a few lines on each page, so I think it was well received. I also attended the Dolce's opening. They had a full house there and some great foods. If anybody hasn't been there, I'd recommend you go there. Mayor McCurkoff, you did need reservations. Troy's was full also for Valentine's Day. Attended the fireworks dance and banquet. It was also full, and the music was loud, and they were just roaring, having a good time. So I believe that will be very successful also, and that's it.
Thank you very much. So you see, we've all been busy at things. So my report, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the Rogers Tower as well, because there was quite a bit about it in the last week's paper, and we've had several people contact us concerning how we felt about it. Well, it's not in the town, but it would certainly be visible from the town. So it is in Area A, and so it would be the RDOS that would be more involved than we would. However, there have been lots of property owners out there that are concerned about this, and while Rogers will respond to complaints, and they have followed all the proper procedures with Industry Canada, there still are some concerns. Some people feel there are health risks to having the tower right there, and also it's considered an eyesore for many because of the positioning of it. Apparently it is not on, it is on solid land. Solid was South Okanagan Lands Irrigation District. That's where it is scheduled to be put up. My suggestion is, if you have a concern about this at all, that you contact Rogers. That was something that was in the paper by February the 23rd. And I think there are quite a few people that have contacted them already, and they could have a public hearing or a meeting on this at some point. Whether that will change it or not, I don't know, but they certainly need to hear from people if anyone has a concern. Because I'm a director on the RDOS, at the last RDOS meeting, I brought this up as just saying that we'd had quite a concern about this around the community, and I wondered if there was anything that the RDOS was able to do about this? Did they know about it? And they said that they are working on a policy to deal with cell towers. So it hasn't come forward yet, but it is in the works. So just the more people that hear about it, the better. And if you're interested, read Mr. Lacey's article in last week's paper about it, and it was also on Global News. And contact people. That's the only way they will know, Rogers will know that you have a concern, if you contact them. So the other thing, one of the things that I went to last week was the opening, well, not the opening, the building of the prison just north of Oliver. And while we had a bit of a briefing on what's going on up there, we also got to wear our boots and hard hats and go out and walk around on the site. It's phenomenal. It is within budget. It's on time. They have it so well organized. I was just absolutely amazed. A lot of it is being done, a lot of the infrastructure now, the pipes and the wires and everything going underneath the ground. They're grinding up the dirt that they take, sifting it and grinding it up into small pebbles to use for the roadways. They're being quite careful. They have a very, very tall crane, and if you happen to be driving north on Highway 97 just past Jackson Triggs Winery, there, Vincor, you will see the crane just up behind it, and that's where the building is. So it was really quite well done, all done by computer. They do not use rulers or measuring tapes or anything like that. It's all done by a computer. Amazing. One of the things you might see on the highway every once in a while are trucks coming up from the States, because the cells are actually made in one piece down in Spokane. And not that they don't want to buy local, but it was the only place that made them. So they are put on trucks and they're brought up. They've got it all arranged through Border Patrol, bringing them up and actually taking the crane and lifting them into place. There are, I think, 186 of these. So you may see these trucks on the highway for a while, and that's what it is.
That might act as a deterrent.
It might. So it was a most interesting exercise that we went up to see, and I'm hoping that might there might be more of those, and they might be available for the public to have a look at before it's built. And I was given this, so I'm going to read it. We have several sports teams in this area that are doing extremely well, not only the Coyotes. South Okanagan Minor Hockey Association's 3 rep teams for Pee-wee, ages 11 to 12, Bantam 13 to 14, and Midget 15 to 17, all won their league banners, and now all 3 teams are in the finals for playoffs for a chance to go to the provincials. The Pee-wee Rep Provincials are in Kitimat, Bantam Rep Provincials are in Port Hardy, and Midget Rep are in Dawson Creek, and take place March 15th to 20th during spring break. Heaven help the people who have 3 boys, 1 on each team. Or maybe there's girls on these teams too, I don't know. All of the games this weekend, which are in Osoyoos, are best out of 3 series. Midget Rep plays Saturday, 2:15 to 5. In Osoyoos versus Kelowna, Bantam Rep from 11:30 to 2 on Saturday versus Winfield, and Pee-wee Rep plays Sunday, February the 22nd, 12:45 to 3:15 versus Merritt. They are asking hockey fans and residents to bring, it says to bring bottles, but what I think is empty bottles. They want it for a bottle drive. They didn't put that on here, but to the arena either on Saturday or Sunday at the Coyotes game, Saturday during the Bantam Midget, or Sunday. Please come out and support these minor hockey players from Osoyoos, Oliver, Karameas, Princeton, OK Falls, and Grand Forks. And while we were talking about this with Brianne out the front, Casey mentioned that the Osoyoos junior boys basketball start their playoffs in Penticton this weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and must place in the top 3 to go to provincials. And the senior boys basketball team play in the Valleys on February 26th to 28th, which are held in Lumbee, and they must finish in the top 3, which would mean that they would be head to provincials in Langley. So we have some very prominent sports teams that are busy doing their thing. So if you're looking for something to do, please go out and support any of these teams. And with that being said, I will call for a resolution to end the meeting. Thank you. Campbell, King, and all in favor. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everyone, and enjoy the beautiful day.